I hope these videos are a little bit better than the other ones. Let's see here, maybe I can play with the focus. All right, so yesterday was Thursday. Today, this is Thursday. Last class on Tuesday, I left off on page 193 talking about the differences between bonuses and commissions. In our book, it also mentions other financial incentives. I think so. A reward is something that's usually given after a performance, while an incentive is supposed to be something like a carrot that you are trying to get. So the incentive, the difference between the word incentive is something you know you're going to get. So that's why they call it bonus or commission. It's an incentive for motivation for future performance. So just to clarify the difference. And then pay rises, but it's future pay rises. Pay rise, business may conduct a performance management system where staff can be rewarded with an ongoing pay increase based on their performance. Now we know in Australia, they already basically say, here's the minimum wage for this level of work, for this many years of experience. So every year that you get experience, you almost get an automatic pay raise, at least for all the government jobs in Australia. So that's also an incentive to stay with the company. You can look forward to the future. One thing that's not mentioned yet that's super key and important is pensions. There's not as many pensions as there used to be. Government employees still get some money every month after they retire, but that was already, that's already in the law. Companies, they have a choice, right? They can try to keep staff by offering them, this pension. So if you stay loyal to us for 25 years, then we'll take care of you in your old age. It is not so common as it used to be. My dad, he has a pretty good pension, which saves, which is very critical for his care that he needs. And that's because he worked for a government bank, and he worked there for 25 years, and now he gets a pretty good pension. So that's an incentive, right? That's a huge incentive for a company. If you get a pension that is this much for 10 years, this much for 15 years, and then at 25 years you get whatever, $3,000 a month to live, wow, okay, that's a serious financial incentive for the future. But like I said, that's mostly government jobs now that seem to do that. Pay rise, and that would be okay, what you expect, but also there's pensions. And a share scheme, as I said before, a share scheme is like the highest level of incentive that you can give to somebody. It's shares of ownership in the company. So in this case, employees are given shares in the company, in the business, as rewards. This scheme can provide long-term motivation. And I like this word, because you say, as the employee can only benefit from the growth of the company if the employee has their goals aligned. They're aligned with the company. You create an incentive that's perfectly aligned with the company. And also, if the company wants to sell the company in the future, that's fine too. Usually the staff will benefit from that. When they sell the shares, they'll get money from that. So that is if the company grows in the future. Okay, so before we go on, I'm going to give, this time I'm going to start with Jim and his discussion about non-financial motivators, which is also on page 193.
Hi there. As part of our study of human resource management, we need to have an awareness of the main non-financial methods of motivation. So it's an interesting question, isn't it? How do you motivate people at work? As we know, business theory suggests two main approaches: financial and non-financial. And the main non-financial methods focus on the way that work is organised for employees and also how they are treated by employers. Now we're going to take a quick look at 8 methods, non-financial methods. Don't forget, your exam board may specify the particular non-financial methods they want you to have an awareness of. Don't forget also, pause the video as we go through. You may want to add notes on each of these to your files. Let's start with the one on the left-hand side there, delegation.
So I would put those into categories and make my notes similar to this.
Now, delegation is, this happens when you give responsibility for carrying out a task or responsibility for a role. You pass it on to somebody else in the business. And typically you pass it on to a subordinate, somebody who works for you. So delegation, giving responsibility for something to somebody else. And of course, if you do that effectively, that can have a number of benefits, not the least. It can reduce management stress and workload. But the motivating aspect of this is that it helps empower and motivate employees to whom the responsibility is delegated, provided that they have the time and the resources and the skills to take on the responsibility. So you can see how delegation, when done properly, can lead to much better and effective decision making, use of resources, but also it's very motivating. And delegation is also a very effective way of providing on-the-job training to subordinates. The middle one there, empowerment. Have you heard of empowerment? This involves basically giving employees more control over their working lives. So, for example, organising employees into an empowered team with quite a high degree of autonomy, decision-making power, can help deliver empowerment and giving employees the opportunities to, for example, plan their own work, decide where they work, giving them responsibility to take their own decisions, to empower them to take decisions and to solve business issues and problems as they come across them. You can see how that is a very effective way of making working life more motivating. One on the right hand side there, last one on this slide, consultation. Consultation is it's a process. It's a process of formally consulting with people or discussing an issue. And typically this takes place in a business context between management and employees, either as individuals or, as we see on the screen there, more commonly between management and groups of employees. And you can imagine that if you're working in a business that regularly and effectively consults employees on key business issues, whether they're good or bad, that can be a very effective way of improving workplace culture and making it a better place to work, a more enjoyable place to work, thereby helping motivate employees. Okay, those are the first 3. Let's move on to the next 3, all starting with the word job, starting with job rotation there on the left-hand side. Job rotation, as the term suggests, involves moving or rotating employees through a series of different jobs. And the key aim there is to increase interest or reduce boredom and therefore increase motivation. And a key benefit of job rotation, again if it's done effectively, is that it encourages multi-skilling. Now of course, an obvious requirement of job rotation therefore is making sure that you've got the training right. There's no point job rotating if you don't have the skills and the abilities to do the jobs, the different jobs, the range of jobs that you're asked to do. Now in a sense, job rotation is quite similar to job enlargement on the right hand side. We'll come back to that. But basically job rotation and enlargement, they both widen the activities that a worker or employee is asked to do. The one in the middle there, job enrichment, this is really about giving employees greater responsibility by increasing the range and the complexity of what they're asked to do. and also giving them the necessary authority to do it. So if you like, job enrichment motivates employees by giving them more opportunities to use their abilities and to use their abilities to the fullest. And of course, Hertzberg, in particular, argued that job enrichment should be a central part of motivating employees. Hertzberg was saying that jobs which had a high degree of enrichment would be challenging, they'd contain a range of tasks for employees at different ability levels, and they'd also provide opportunities for achievement and feedback on performance, all of which is motivating to employees. The one on the right there, job enlargement, we've mentioned it once already, but this is really about adding extra stuff to do, adding extra, perhaps similar tasks to a job. So in job enlargement, the job itself remains basically unchanged, however, you widen the range of tasks that need to be performed. So hopefully that motivates by giving employees less repetition, less monotony. And of course, with job enlargement, an employee won't necessarily need to acquire new skills to carry out the additional task. Hopefully they'll just be able to do them. Now, of course, there's a downside with job enlargement, which is that you're just asking employees to do more. So they may actually require more financial motivation in order to take up the offer. Finally, two last ones there on the screen. So as I say, do double check with your example which non-financial methods you need to know about. Teamwork, this is about organising employees into teams, a bit of a clue in the title. But the key to making teamwork work effectively is to give those teams autonomy, responsibility for decision making. Allow the team to plan their work, to take decisions, to solve problems, to identify the resources they need, and to organise and facilitate things. And for sure, set those teams targets and perhaps give them financial rewards for achieving those targets as well. But basically, if you can combine empowerment with teamworking, that's a very effective way of motivating employees in their day-to-day work. And lastly, the one on the right there, flexible working, which is the subject of a separate video, an increasingly important aspect of work. Flexible working is quite a broad term which describes quite a number of different employment options that essentially help employees balance working life with home life. Flexible in the sense that the working arrangements have a number of options that give employees some choice over, for example, things like when they work, where they work, their pattern of working and so forth. And clearly, a business that has attractive and sensible, flexible working options is likely to help employees, help motivate their employees, because clearly it's a big part of making work more effective and hopefully enjoyable. There we go. Well, we've taken a few minutes there, but we've had a bit of an overview there of the main non-financial methods of motivation. Just a quick word for AQA students. Don't forget that Hatman and Oldham's model of job design, the 5 key job characteristics, is also very closely related to motivation. And of course, those job characteristics are essentially non-financial methods of motivation. So don't forget, if you're an AQA student, to
Okay. One second here. I have trouble with the other thing because some students came late and totally messed everything up. So let me figure this out again. One second only, please. Wow. Really annoying. class. All right, from our book, page 193, extra leave. Extra leave. That is also, so the ones that they talked about here were basically like inside the job, what kind of responsibility we can give. Flexible work can also mean leave. Job rotation we mentioned before. And delegation means more power. Empowerment means more decision. So this one means more power over other people. This one means more decision making. And this one means that that people talk to you when they want to make an important decision. They come to you. So, all right. So a few other non-financial incentives include extra leave. Everybody loves that. Employees can get time off of work or to arrange time to work from home based on their performance and trust level from the organization. This involves no payments by the business and gives employees something they really value. Skills improvement, I think they mentioned that already. Giving employees extra training to support their career goals can be a win-win. Employers get better employees, employees feel supported, and they also feel loyal. Hard one though, because you have to also think about the market. Up until the pandemic, the job market in Vietnam was pretty tight. Unemployment very low. So a lot of people that I met who were employers, they said, yeah, staff, they just leave whenever they want to leave. They don't really have any loyalty at all because there's always another job for them in the future. So it does depend on the market as well. Of course, a non-financial incentive would be publicly acknowledged some kind of recognition, which of course is also a reward. So it's not really an incentive unless it means that it's every year or it's a plan. So you know that at the end of the year, they're going to pick somebody to be the employee of the year. That's an incentive. The incentive is that you know that it's out there to get. If you think about vroom, it has to be something that you want. Okay, so I don't care too much about, in fact, I don't know if it's really motivating to have a competition between teachers, like who is the teacher of the year. That would be kind of weird, actually. We used to have in our Les Tomquettes ceremony, we used to have, sometimes the students would do funny awards, like teacher who is the most, late or funny or whatever. And it was fun. It was actually kind of fun the way they did it. But then they stopped doing it because some teachers didn't like it. They thought it was kind of, they started to feel, like they were, demotivated because they weren't going to win. Which I thought was crazy. I was like, who cares? It's just for fun. But I understand it. At the same time, I understand it in terms of motivation theory. Here's an example from the book, page 193. A successful incentive scheme is at Telstra Big Pond. Telstra employees working in Big Pond call centers and retail suppliers have a points-based incentive program. Points are earned for sales. The salesperson enters their sales into the system. The incentives are linked to training and development. The more professional development a staff member does, means training, they go voluntarily, I guess, to some training sessions. The more professional development training sessions they go to, they will get more points. The program also aims to increase sales and also motivates staff to develop their skills. So that's pretty good. I did hear of a program like that before. That was like Facebook. It was like a social media. don't search with Bing, or they don't search. Google won't even search. Some kind of app, hop in. Yeah, there was one of these that was really standing out. Achievers, workmates, bonusly. I think I have to go back and put it into YouTube. So the gamification of work. I should have found this before. I thought it would be easy. Social, so let's just say performance and reward. Is it the same? Performance. Performance employee. That's the word. Yeah, I guess I feel like I should have been able to find it, and I'll just have to wait. Because it was a good one. It was a weird, reward system. No, I can't find it. I'm sad. I thought I would get one. All right, well, again, I guess what we learned is that there's just an absolute huge amount of data on these. Vintage Circle, there it is. Vantage Circle, that's what it's called. Vantage Circle. This one is kind of crazy. Imagine yourself in a business that has this kind of program, employee rewards and recognition program. From Vantage Circle.
Workplace demographics are changing. More and more millennials are entering the workforce. But as an employer, are you prepared to change your rewards and recognition program with the shifting age? The conventional method of a pat on the back and a holiday gift at the end of the year isn't keeping millennials satisfied with their work. These young, energetic, change seekers need to see immediate results and the immediate recognition of a job well done. At Vantage Circle, we believe it's time for a change. Our Vantage Rewards program is just the thing to keep your millennial workforce engaged, feel appreciated, and motivated to excel at their job. Our cloud-based, mobile-first platform designed to work for today's global enterprise is simple to use, quick to deploy, all in real time. Our 4 steps of budgeting, allocating, rewards and recognition and redemption is a simple process to keep your reward system organized and efficient. The points-based system allows for easier budgeting and allocating of rewards. You can quickly reward your top-performing team, individual, or entire department with points for their great efforts. Your employees can use the Vantage Reward social platform to recognize their own colleagues and be recognized instantly.
So they can, there you go. Now you're talking about a system where everybody can give each other likes every day, and maybe you're able to use this to figure out who are the influencers in the company. That might be helpful for some other kinds of management ideas. But yeah, so you can see all the workers, they're all going to be updating, look, Ty just finished part 1 of his marketing plan. Like. So that'll be funny.
Millennials are already on social media, so this fits in with the already existing habits and normalcy of your workforce. Instant app notifications and emails can keep your employees informed with the great work they are doing. This gives small bursts of motivation that can continue to produce impressive results from your staff. The unified Vantage Point system accumulates all the points in a single wallet, either from rewards points or cashback coins earned through online shopping. Employees have the option to redeem.
And just like GrabBike, you can take this rewards that you get instantly from some work thing, and then maybe, if it works well, right? I mean, there's just so many things behind this. One is, okay, do all millennials, as they're talking about, really want to be on some kind of social media app all day long about their work? It's already hard to get away from work. So here you have a 24-hour-a-day application that's making you look at it when you just want to be home from work. So it's another way for them to make you take work home with you. So there's some, I can imagine that it could get competitive, there could be bullying, there could be all kinds of messed up things happening there. If it works well, it could be kind of cool in the sense that you might be able to match the rewards that fit to each employee in a way that is more like customized than it would be for typically everybody getting the same reward all the time. So that might be interesting. That might be a good way of having a possible reward system that is more, let's say, individualistic. So that's interesting. It does just seem like it drags you into a lot of things that you're going to have to, as a manager, you're going to be stuck with problems that you have to solve.
Redeem their points towards a gift card from a particular store or brand. This gives them the flexibility of hundreds of options to choose from. With a simple and easy-to-use interface, regular communication and support, Vantage Rewards is a must-have for every organization. Start motivating your employees and really show them you are grateful for the hard work they are doing.
Can you get the Star of the Month award?
And we made it too easy for you to get started. Almost super easy. Simply visit www.vantagecircle.com and request a demo for free.
So, Vantage Circle, that was the one I was hoping to notice. Interesting, right? A little bit interesting, but a little bit weird to imagine that you have your own employee social media situation. But it does provide some other methods of recognition that might not be available or might be more valued in a Victor Vroom way than standard, good job from some manager who's older than you who you don't care. Maybe you care about your peers being interested in your success more. Okay, a consideration for business when using incentives is fringe benefit tax. No, we don't care about that. But the last paragraph on 193 is short and sweet. Incentive programs need to be linked to the business goals. It's critical for the success of what you're trying to do, right? If you have goals that are one way, but then everybody in your organization is trying to get likes on some social media app when you're trying to increase sales, that may not be, they may not match the goals and the incentives. They also must be well managed with a budget, so you know how much you're spending on these things. And also, like Victor Vroom said, meaningful for employees. Incentive schemes can be costly and must be managed well to successfully motivate staff. The next page has a very interesting one. It says penalties. On many answers to test questions that I've seen over the years, talking about what to do in a motivation situation where an employee is not motivated, I have students suggest that we lower their salaries. Lowering a salary is just an impossible solution to this problem. So we really shouldn't ever think about that. That's not a solution. Penalizing is super demotivating. Can you imagine your colleagues and you're explaining to them, yeah, they lowered my salary. Oof. That's just brutal. Not getting something, okay, you can reflect. Did I deserve it? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, maybe there's an Adams problem. But if you lower employee's salary, it's deadly. Penalties, page 194. It is debatable, not really, whether penalties for poor performance are motivating for employees. Only like pain and violence would be the kind of penalties that would be motivating, and you can't do those anymore. While a penalty may provide a temporary increase in employee efforts, or maybe compliance with the business's needs, it tends to lead to more stress and lower morale from employees, right? Stress, morale, like, oh, I don't want to go to work. So Amazon, yeah, they penalize. You know, you lose. Okay, you talk in too much in the warehouse. 1 hour salary lost. Late, lose. Bathroom break too long, lose. Delivery too slow, lose. Woo! It's horrible. I don't think it makes great morale. It makes a bunch of miserable people. Employees may become disgruntled and only work as hard as they have to in order to get by each day. They're just trying to survive. They're not trying to make it better. Examples of penalties include reducing wages, terrible idea, like taking hours away, which is like taking salary away, or lowering someone's position. That's bad. Oh, I used to be the manager, but now I'm back on the staff. That is not going to motivate anybody, right? So, yeah, penalties are net negative in general. I would not recommend really any kind of penalties. After that, it says the reciprocal. Reciprocal means two-way. It's a two-way relationship between employer and employee. Well, we have the levels of, we have, we have communication, we have delegation. There's so much there, right? It's a real human relationship. Delegation of responsibility, some kind of accountability that comes back, feedback, the motivation of the employee, the goals of the organization, the goals of the management, the group dynamics of the teams that people work on, the communication between the teams, the communication from the manager. There's a lot of things in there. Incentives, rewards, and motivation. It's all in there. So this chapter is basically, this section is just talking about a few elements. Some vocabulary, a little bit. One common expectation from both groups is that communication will be effective and clear. This creates dependence between employers and employees, and a positive relationship can be developed from that. Poor communication allows the staff to talk to each other, to start rumors about what's happening. We don't really know, so we're just gonna guess, and I hear the company's not doing very well. Really? Oh my God. Did you see? It looks like there's less customers. I don't know. Well, what is the plan for the future? They didn't tell us. So should we be looking for other jobs, or should we just like wait and see what the plan is? I don't know. They didn't tell us. So we have that kind of situation where the staff can start to make up their own stories about what's happening. But the goals of this reciprocal relationship, of course, are the human resource goals. Less turnover, less absenteeism, reaching goals, including better productivity, and finally, more attention to the job. So, you know, we have engagement with the job, and that engagement means that people are not careless, right? So if you have a place where people don't care about the workplace, and there's garbage on the floor, or somebody spills a drink, or something is broken, or there's no more paper in the photocopy machine, then they just let it go. They're like, I can't, you know, there's no system for this, it doesn't work, I don't care, I'm just gonna go home. And that way other people get stressed out because people don't take care of each other, and then the workplace becomes a harder place to work, and could even lead to accidents and other hazards in the workplace. So, that's called employee engagement, which is important to the business. Engagement occurs when an employee is committed to the goals and the values of the business organization, and when this commitment is reflected in their approach to the workplace. An employee who is enthusiastic about the working environment will interact positively not only with other staff and take care of each other, but your customers. And that's super important in a service industry. And yeah, so those people will have pride in their product, they'll have pride in their service, and it'll reflect on the company in positive PR. Wow, look at this picture on page 195. They look like British football fans. I'm not sure I would want to meet them in some kind of horror movie. It looks terrible. It looks like so scary. Then there's a little section on diversity. I'll mention it, I guess. Diversity management. What is diversity? Diversity is a term that we use to explain how we have a workplace that is like EEO, right? We have the EEO, E-I-E-I-O, and we've got, you know, every kind of people working together. And diversity means that you take the best staff, no matter who they are, what they're doing, so that we can see that in some global international football clubs, right? Barcelona, British football, Man City, they look for the best talent all over the world. They don't just limit to like British football players. They would never win if they just had British football players. They need diversity. I could be wrong, and England could win the Euro, but I don't think so. But diversity management is about being open to all the best of the differences that different kinds of employees can offer. So, the mutual agreement between employer and employee. The employee gets to work from, what? Oh, no, that doesn't make any sense. A mutual, no, doesn't make any sense either. What? This chapter is awful. Just awful. All right, so I think that might be about all I can cover for the end of this chapter, but let me check real quick and see where our syllabus is, because I think the next thing that we'll do is oh, it should be here. Oh well, the next thing we should be doing is leadership and management styles. So I think cannot really get there today. So that's pretty much the end of our motivation section. Maybe I'll look at one more element of this crazy incentive system called the Vantage Circle. I want to know a little bit more.
Attract and efficient.
Vantage Circle. Top 10 employee retention strategies. The website. Wow, they really got into this. I wonder how they're doing. What are they doing? They're probably doing really well. There's probably like just so much. It looks like it's like the kind of thing that they were interested. It said that millennials all use social media, which is something I would guess would not be in the U.S. There are many people using social media, but not really 100%. I would say 70, maybe 60. Let's check it out. The employee benefits.